Vilkmergės Tamsusis.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Fucking hell, I've probably butchered that pronunciation, but there you go. Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. This is what happens when you tell the people round the corner in the supermarket that you review beer on a channel. And they got some beer in for me to review, and this is Lithuanian beer. Now, I've reviewed Lithuanian beer on the channel before, and that shop round the corner for some reason, I don't know why, but they do. They get a load of Lithuanian beer in, and I don't think they sell much of it at all. They're the ones that get Budvar in, especially for me, and I'm really appreciative of that. And I've just been having a conversation with the fella around the shop, Vaz. Nice fella, talking about cricket and stuff, but he was saying that I should give him a mention, so I'm giving you a mention. It's a Londis on Sutton Road in Maidstone. There you go. If you ever buy that way and you want Lithuanian beer, pop in there and say, oh, I told you to get some. Don't do that, for fuck's sake. Let's get on to this beer. Right, this is, as I say, a Lithuanian beer, and it's brewed by a company called Kaunapilis Taurus Group. And they are owned by Royal Unibrew, not Royal Interbrew, Royal Unibrew, who are a company who are based in Denmark. They do, if it sounds familiar, they do the Fax beer. Do you remember the Fax beer in litre cans with Vikings on the front? They brew that, and I think that's probably why the reason that you can get this in the corner shop just round the corner from me is because they have quite good distribution rights. You normally see their beers in places like B&M, Home Bargains, that type of thing. Certainly the Fax stuff, I know you can get that in there. I think you may be able to get that in Aldi's as well, I'm not sure. But they do a whole host of Lithuanian beers in the shop round the corner. Some of them okay, some not so good. Now, the reason I'm interested in this one is it's a dark beer, and I've had a dark beer before from Lithuania. It was billed as a porter, and it was nothing of the sort. It was quite an agreeable dunkel. The only thing I will say is they do use malt extract. I think, from the taste perception that I had, malt extract. I think they use hop extract as well. This has only got one hop in it. I'll get onto that in the next section. But I think it's a sweetened beer, so they put sugar in there as well. Now, I'm not against the idea of putting sugar in beer. However, it has to be done right, and a lot of the times breweries get it wrong. Breweries that get it right are normally traditional British or English brewers who put some invert sugar into their dark beers, and it really does make it taste nice, usually in their strong beers, and it tastes great. The Germans, there's only one beer I know for a fact that they put sugar in, and that's that. Is it Neusmeller or something like that? I reviewed it on the channel not so long ago. It's the Abbott beer, the Schwarzer Abbott beer. That was disgusting. There was just way too much sugar in it, and it was sickly sweet, and it was horrible. I think it got a 1 out of 10. It was disgusting. Probably the worst German beer I ever tried, to be honest. But the Belgians get it right normally, and they use candy sugar, which is a type of beet sugar, and that really does make it. It's part of the character of Belgian beer, and it tastes fantastic. Belgian beer, I know, is a bit of an acquired taste, but if you like Belgian beer, you know how good it is, and you know how important that candy sugar is in there. Sometimes they use glucose syrup, but they do it sparingly and they do it correctly. If you like Duvel, that has glucose syrup in it, and that's done right. Other brewers, certainly the big macro brewers, they use brewing syrup, and it is fucking horrible, and it puts me off, and it gives me the ump, and it sends me into rants. And I'm not going to do that here, hopefully. This is, as I say, it's imported by a company that are based in Dagenham, which is in East London. Proper West Ham country, that is. And I'm just looking at this bottle. It's very nice. It's like an engraved bottle. and it's it's quite unique. It's 410 ml, as far as I know. Yeah, it's 410 millilitres, even though it doesn't say it on the bottle, which is a really unusual measurement, I think. But it's unique. Never seen it before. Had some from this brewery before. Not the greatest, but it's a dark beer. It's a bottom fermented lager. Could it be in the style of a dunkel? Who knows? Let's investigate. Right, this is, as I say, 410 ml bottle. I think it's the first on the channel, and I've reviewed over 1,000 beers on this channel, and I've never had a 410 ml bottle, I don't think. No, it's a very unusual measurement. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's half. Well, it's not even half litre, is it? I don't know. I've done a quarter of a litre. Who knows? I'm all over the shop with me measurements. But it's a dark beer, as I say. It's a lager. Only contains one hop. And that's a Magnum hop, which is a bittering hop, which is unusual because if you look at the IBUs on this, and they've got the IBUs listed on here, it's only 13 IBUs. That is really sweet in any style of beer. And as I always say with IBUs, you've got to take them in the context of the beer. So 13 IBUs in a dunkel, it's very, very sweet. They say there's 3 types of malt in here. 2 of them are like a caramelesque type malt, which makes it dark in colour. I imagine the other malt that's in there is a pale malt. They call it barley malt. That's all the ingredients you've got on here. There's no real brew sheet on the what's name on the website, unfortunately. The ABV on this is 5.8%, so a little bit hefty. So there you go. Let's get it open, see what's going on. Now, as I say, I remember the last one that I tried, it was billed as a porter. It was quite nice, I'm not going to lie, it was okay, but I think they used malt extract in it, and it was just okay. It was unusual. I didn't know what to expect. They call it an imperial porter. It wasn't. It was like a dark lager of some description, which is what this is as well. And in fact, this is looking a little bit like a dunkel. Getting some strange smells here. Oh look, that's perfect. My daughter got me that for Father's Day. What does it say on the side? It says, "Dad, noun. A man who always has an ear to listen and a shoulder to cry on, and a wallet with never-ending flows of, Dad, can I have a fucking tenner, please?" Ugh. And relax. Right, what are we getting on the nose? Weird. There is an element of what you would consider a German dunkel, but I'm getting like a licorice. That was the initial aroma that I said was a bit weird. I wonder if this is the sugar that they've put in there. And it does smell a little bit like malt extract. Okay, but there are elements of what you would expect on a German dunkel. You know, that sweet type malt? I am getting that. However, there's something not quite right about this. I don't know what that is. It's almost like a, not aniseed, it's more licorice. Okay, alright, well I'm willing to give it a go. The head's dissipated quite a bit, that's not a good sign. Look at the carbonation, I don't know whether you can see that or not, but there's a lot of carbonation in that, and that is not good. And that's what's making me think this is all full of extract. Malt extract, anyway. Oh well, wish me luck. Bottoms up. And you know what? In all honesty, that is not bad. And it does remind me of a German dunkel. Very much so. However, it's a little bit on the artificial side. I think there is sugar in here, definitely. But I'll tell you something, that's not bad. That is not bad at all. It's very much in the style of a German dunkel. Nice sweetness on the finish. That caramel type sweetness that you get from a good German dunkel. That's definitely there. The aroma's still puzzling me though. There's something a little bit off. I can see that there's nice aromas in there that reminded me of a German dunkel, but there's something over the top of that which smells out of place, and I'm trying to work out what it is. And it's that's how I'm perceiving it. A very, very subtle licorice type smell. This is an interesting beer considering it's come from Lithuania, and it cost me, I think it was £1 something from the shop round the corner. In a blindfold test, I'd say this has come from Germany. However, and I could see this potentially being a problem, I think that sweetness may get a little bit too much for me. I think there is added sugar in this, but it's okay. It's 5.8%, so that's probably one of the reasons why that head has dissipated on there. But I have to say, this ain't the worst beer in the world. Yeah, not bad. I mean, they've obviously taken the influence from a German dunkel. And a little story for you. Now, I don't know whether you're going to watch this, but I've done a little bit of a news segment on the site, and I'll give you the sorry saga of Unibrew, who went bust, online retailer who went bust, and they unfortunately had the administrators in, but they said they were in discussions with another online retailer. I got an email today, and I'm going to go into detail on this on the news bit, but just to let you know, Beer 52, if you've ever heard of them, they are, oh, by the way, here's the cap. Here's the cap from the beer. Can you see that? There you go. Where was I? Yeah, Beer 52. They've taken on all their old customers, and they've honoured the credits as well, which is good. I'm impressed with that. What I'm not impressed with is it's very, very craft beer heavy, and I think what they rely on is people buying crates of craft beer every month. And that's not really my thing. Craft beer isn't really my thing. There's a couple of beers that were interesting. A couple from the More Beer Company from Bristol. I've reviewed some of theirs on the channel. I don't mind them actually. They're a craft brewer, but they do an old ale, they do a barley wine, and they do a bitter as well. I've tried the bitter. That wasn't too bad. They do another bitter, which I put in my cart. They've also got on there the Sandbrook Brewery from London, and I tried their bitter. They're another craft brewer, but they do a bitter. And it was really nice, I have to say. I'll give that a high mark. It was very, very good indeed. And they do something called a Bedford... No, or is it... I'm getting confused. No. One of them does a Bedford Porter, which I've put in my cart as well. But I was really, really disappointed with the selection. It's just all craft beer. And it's all American Pale Ales, and it's always New England IPAs and West Coast IPAs and all that. And I'm not reviewing it because... there's too many other people out there doing it, and I've said this so many times before. So I rang them up and I said, look, your beer selection leaves a little bit to be desired. If you need some advice, and I didn't do it hoity-toity, or, you know, I was quite humble, and I just said, look, some of the stuff on your website is not to my taste. How about I'll give you a little bit of advice what to get in. I was going to recommend some great British beer, some great German beer, and some great Belgian beer that I think other people would like. So he didn't answer me on the phone. He was very non-committal on the phone. He said you best put it in an email. So I've emailed him. If I hear back from them, I'll do a news bulletin. Not news in the nude or nothing like that, just a news bulletin. I'll let you know how I got on. Anyway, back to the beer. Quite nice. It just doesn't have the quality of the German beer. I think the ingredients on this are letting it down slightly. The final result is not bad, I will say that. And if a craft brewer come up with something like this, I'd be impressed. But it's, yes, it's in the German style, the dunkel style, but I don't think it is as good, certainly not as good as the Bavarian stuff. But it's okay. I mean, I paid, what did I pay for it? I think it was £1.40 or £1.50 for 410 millilitres, which is just over half a pint. But it's quite nice. If you're craving a dunkel, you could do a lot worse than this. This is okay. It's passable. 5.8%. Got a little bit of a kick on it. No ethanol in it though. This is, they got it pretty accurate, I have to say. But I think the cheap ingredients are just well, not the cheap ingredients, the different ingredients are letting it down slightly. But not a bad beer overall. So, what's the verdict on Vilkmerges Tamsusis? And I'll fuck that up. And if there's any Lithuanian viewers out there, I do apologise now. What is the verdict on this? I will say, and I was thinking this as I was drinking it, a lot of people drink with their eyes. That sounds like a weird statement. And I must admit, I'm guilty of it as well. I see this and I automatically think it's not as good as the German dunkel. However, there's been experiments done, and I've done them myself as well, with not beer, but with musical equipment. You see a nice guitar, well, you know, Gibson and all that can fuck off. Gibson really aren't on my list of even top 10 guitars. I've had a few Gibsons in my time, and believe me, the most overrated fucking guitars ever. But I digress. The sound of a guitar. I'm going to go off on a little tangent, but it's still relevant. The sound of a guitar. You automatically think you're paying more money, you're going to get a better sound. When the sad fact is, electric guitars, it's a closed circuit. The pickups are effectively a microphone. The strings are what's making the noise. The pickups are picking it up, and it's transferred out of the guitar via a copper cable into an amplifier which contains 2 speakers. Now, where you go wrong is you look at the guitar and you automatically think this is going to sound better than a cheap guitar. In a blindfold test, and it's been done, virtually nobody can tell the difference. Now, bringing that back to beer, if I was in a blindfold test and somebody said to me, would you like to try a beer? And just put a blindfold to me, put that in a glass. I couldn't see who the brewer was, country of origin, couldn't see any of that. And I drank this. I would say this tastes very much like a German dunkel. I imagine it's brewed by probably not a Bavarian brewer, but a good German brewer. However, as it warms up slightly, you can perceive that the ingredients aren't as good as what most of the German brewers use. But as I say, in a blindfold test, you'd still think it was German. You'd still think it was a pretty good beer. And that's what I'm going to do, even though I've seen who brews it and the country of origin. Now, I did mention the Imperial Porter, which I think was the same ABV. It was 5.8%, or it was about 6%, something like that. It tasted very much, well, I wouldn't say very much like this, but it tasted like this. But I think there is malt extract in there. I am getting that, I don't know, you can just tell, and I can't, it's hard to put into words what that is like, the malt extract. It just doesn't taste as full-bodied. I saw that with the head, the way the head dissipated. That dissipated really quickly, and it was very fizzy, and that is not a good sign in beer. However, I think this has probably got more flavour that sort of saved it from that. So, yeah, I can sort of forgive the head dissipating quite quickly. It's only 5.8%. It shouldn't dissipate that quickly. And if I give it a little bit of a swig, the head dissipates even quicker. What the fuck do I know? Okay. I think it's a touch on the sweet side though. I think they've put sugar in there as well, even though it's not on the ingredients, and it's a little bit too sweet. And I think after 2 or 3 pints of that, I think I'd be all sugared up and feeling a bit there because it's a bit too sweet. And I haven't got a sweet tooth. I make no bones about that. If it's a choice between sweet and savoury, savoury's always going to get the nod from me. But I do like this bottle. I'm just looking at the bottle. It's very nice, very unique shaped, quite ergonomic as well. I'm going to stop waffling. What mark am I going to give it? Well, it's not as good as a German Dunkel, but it's not bad. For me, it's a little bit too sweet. I can see where the 13 IBUs come from now. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. And I'm going to say, if you see this in your local supermarket or your local Londis, like I did, round the corner with Vaz behind the ramp, I think this is a good substitute for a Dunkel if you're craving that type of thing. That'd go really well with a curry. As I say, I do think sweet beer goes well with curry. Well, it does. That's the reason why Cobra is really, really sweet. And I think that would go down even better than a Coke. Well, fucking go down even better. Of course it would. Cobra is absolute fucking dog shit. And if you look at my review on the channel, you will see that. However, Cobra on tap when you're having a curry, if there's nothing else, that's passable. I'd rather have that than Heineken. Anyway, I'm digressing. I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10. If you're going to go to your local supermarket, some of the Eastern European places in London and some of the bigger cities may have this in there. It's not bad. If you like German Dunkels, you're probably going to like that. You may find it a little touch on the sweet side, but if you've got a bit of a sweet tooth, you're going to like that. I haven't, and that's why I've given it the low mark. But it ain't the worst beer in the world, I have to say. And if I'm craving a German Dunkel and there's none in the fridge, then I may have to pop round to the supermarket round the corner and get me some of that, because, as I say, it's not the worst beer in the world, and I think that is worthy of a 6.5 out of 10. So there you go. And remember, beer is working class champagne.